Good morning, gang. How's everybody doing? I gotta admit, it's becoming kind of nice out there. I don't know, but I think it's going to be a lot better than yesterday. Don't you think? I could have sworn yesterday while we were on our way to the rescue that I saw a big, huge boat on Street Road with a bunch of animals and an old man on it. Go figure. Before I went to bed last night, I was made aware of something that really kind of disturbed me, but I'm placing it in the Lord's hands. Donald Trump not only won the Indiana primary last night, but Ted Cruz backed out of the Republican race for presidency. I'll be honest, that bothers me because I do not approve of Trump. Guess who that was? I don't approve of him, and I really have reservations on him. However, I would rather vote for him than to see Hillary or Bernie in office. That's my honest opinion. But I really think that this is a big wake-up call for us as Christians. And I'll tell you why. After what I read in today's devotions, I think it's a very big wake-up call. I was reading Lamentations chapter 5, verses 8 through 22. And in this, Jeremiah is beseeching the Lord, asking the Lord to please not forget Israel. He's asking God to please not forget his own people, to not cast them off. I mean, if you read the whole chapter, he says in verse 1, remember, O Lord, what has come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. And he goes on to say how, servants have ruled over us. There is none that doth deliver us out of their hand. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. We gat our bread with the peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. It just goes on. If you read Lamentations itself, you just see the surrealness of what Jeremiah is seeing, and he's been through probably what would be considered today as post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, the things he's seeing in verses 11 about, they ravished the women in Zion and the maids in the cities of Judah. Princes are hanged up by their hand. The faces of elders were not honored. I mean, it's... And he says, the crown has fallen from our head. Woe unto us that we have sinned. I mean, he's saying how, their dance is turned into mourning. And he says, for this our heart is faint, for these things our eyes are dim. And he says, thou, O Lord, remainest forever, thy throne from generation to generation. Wherefore dost thou forget us forever, and forsake us so long time? Turn thou us unto thee, O Lord, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old. But thou hast utterly rejected us. Thou art very wroth against us. He's feeling like many of the other people of Israel, that God hates him, I think. But, the thing is, if you look in chapter 3, verses 21 through 24, I believe, he says something very telling. He says, this I recall to mind, therefore I have hope. It is because of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed. If you read the rest of it, he says, his compassions fail not. They're new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. And he says that the Lord is his portion. I would really recommend that you read that. He's asking God to please not forget Israel. He's asking to please forgive them, to show mercy. And God did decades later. You see, especially in Ezra chapter 9, verse 9, which is something that really got me. For we were bondmen, yet our God hath not forsaken us in our bondage, but hath extended mercy unto us in the sight of the kings of Persia, to give us a reviving, to set up the house of our God, and to repair the desolations thereof, and to give us a wall in Judah and in Jerusalem. This had to have been after, well after, not only the temple was built, but also after the wall was built under Nehemiah. So God did keep his promise to restore Israel. And I believe, guys, I know some of you are probably really downhearted about Trump being the Republican nominee, but I believe God's in control of this. I believe that out of the ruins of all of this, God is going to bring something awesome. I believe that especially if you are experiencing spiritual ruin in your own life, that if you give God all the rubble, if you give God all the pieces, he will take it and he will restore it and make it even better than before. Remember what I was talking about with this past Sunday's sermon? Remember, I was saying how if we give God what we have, he'll take it and he'll use it mightily for us. Remember Samson? I was remarking in yesterday's evening, with my devotional on the Time Warp Wife about Joseph and how he responded to a sexual temptation. But I compared it with David. And if you read 2 Samuel chapter 11, with what I posted yesterday, you see what he did and then how it affected him and his kingdom. Bottom line here, though, God forgave, God restored. And I'm telling you, whoever you are, that if you are in spiritual rubble, if you are facing something that you can't handle, that's because of your own doing, or because of spiritual attack, or something that like Job, that's not your fault, give it to the Lord. Turn it over to the Lord and ask him to take those pieces and put them back together and restore them like better than new, because he will. He did that for Jerusalem. He did that for Israel, and he'll do it for you if you'll let him. Let him restore the ruins of your life. Let him be first place in your life and watch what he does for you. I've got to get going. We have a whole bunch to do today. But before I do go, as I said before earlier, I am, as I said, very hesitant about Trump, but I would sooner vote for him over Hillary or Bernie. I really would. But as I close this, I ask that you give to God whatever spiritual rubble is in your life, whatever hurts, whatever woes, whatever pain you are experiencing. Give it to him. Confess your sin. I urge all of you as a people today, and especially tomorrow. Tomorrow, people, just by the way, happens to be the National Day of Prayer. So I urge all of you to take time tomorrow to pray for our nation, to ask God to please forgive us for the sins we have committed, to show mercy and compassion on us, and to restore us to what we once were. Also ask him to raise up people, godly people, who will run for public office, who will be willing to take a stand for him. And I ask most of all that he puts the person that he wants in the White House, because that's what's really badly needed right now. I welcome any feedback, any comments that you want to give here, as long as you keep it civil. But I also ask today that you allow the Lord to restore the rubble in your own life, and give him what you have, and watch how wonderful he'll turn it into something glorious for him. You guys have an awesome day. Bye for now.